I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is the Dickey Ridge Visitor Center, mile marker 5. It's up in the northern end of the park. There's my little red car. That's the Shenandoah Valley looking down to the west. I'm going to cross over Skyline Drive and go down the east side of the mountain here into Fox Hollow. There's an old map that I was looking at from 1939 that shows the location, former location of the homestead down there. So I'm going to go down there. It's mostly established trail, but part of it's going to be a bushwhack. So that'll be the fun part of it when we get down there. The elevation here is 1,925 feet. Okay, here's the Fox Hollow trailhead. Over there is the Dickey Ridge Visitor Center. My car's parked up there to the left just a little ways up in the parking lot. Now normally in the summertime, this whole area here is just one big tall jumbled up mess of uncut grass, but look at this, they've cut it all down. Here's looking down the east side of the mountain. And so I'm going to head on off in this direction down the Fox Hollow Trail, which is actually an old road. Once we get down here a little ways, you'll see that it's an old road. Okay, so up there's the trailhead. Come down here to the right until you see this concrete signpost, and that's the Dickey Ridge Trail heading that way. And if you read the metal band there, it'll tell you that this is the Fox Hollow Trail going down this way with the blue blazing. And right down here is a sign warning me about bears are active in this area. If you encounter a persistent or aggressive bear, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, we might have some bear action down here. Seven-tenths of a mile into my hike, I'm down to 1,650 feet elevation. Here's where I came from. There's the road coming down here. And on the 1939 map, when the road gets to this point, it just keeps right on going, straight ahead. And you'll notice that all this stuff somehow magically got cut down, blocking the road. But what they want you to do is they want you to go around and make a U-turn like 180 degrees almost and head back up that way. And I'll do that on my return trip, but for now we're going to bushwhack through here and continue on this road for another couple tenths of a mile until I get to the coordinates of where the old homestead was. Maybe there's something there, maybe there isn't. Probably not, but let's go see. Okay, well, back there's where I came from. I came around to the side here and I hacked my way through the brambles and stuff over here. And maybe you can see the rocks representing the edge of the road up there. So I'm gonna get back up on the road, and another couple tenths of a mile we should be down to where the old homestead was. Let's see what's there. Don't know if this is going to show up because the sun's kind of at a bad angle, but right there, at the edge of the road, here's some barbed wire fencing laying on the ground, heading on back up that way. So that's kind of an interesting thing right there. Okay, now that I'm in here a little ways, I can see the road back here is a little more clearly defined. And I was wrong about those rocks. Those rocks are forming part of a wall right there. Maybe you can see that right there. So you've got the road here, and then off to the right are those rocks. They're not actually part of the road. It looks to me like back here it looks like it's more likely part of an old wall, rock wall. .1 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 1630, and I'm at a hard left, or a hard right-hand turn in the road. I'll show you on the map talk. But here's the turn right here, and then it heads on up this side of the hill here a little ways, and then it eventually turns left and heads back more towards the north, going down the side of the mountain. Now on the old map from 1939, the dwelling was up here. I'm guessing it was they probably put it up here on this rise a little ways. That's where I'd put it. So I'm going to see if I can hack my way up there. This has been some pretty nasty hiking getting back to this point. So let me go up here and see if I can see anything. Well, so far I haven't found anything. The road's back down that way just a little ways. But I do want to point out that this whole area here, if you look at what's on the ground, it's all dead grass, which is not something you normally find in the woods. See all this dead grass? Now if I look back this way a little further up the hill, all of a sudden you'll see that it turns more back into normal woodsy stuff, like right there. And up there it's like normal woods. And right in through here, look at the difference. So I think the house was somewhere real close to here. It could have even been right there. Who knows? I don't see any evidence of it though. The Park Service has got a real nasty habit of coming in here and just taking stuff completely out. Their excuse is they're going to return it to its natural state. But I mean, you know, it'd be nice to have some historical artifacts in here. I'm going to look around a little bit more, but this is the spot right here. So I found this what looked like might have been an old driveway with rocks stacked up in a linear fashion. That's where I came from, down there. I'm at the very top of this hill here, and I followed this, let's call it a driveway up here. And darn if there isn't this great big huge mound of rocks here. And I'm going to do a 360. This is probably a better spot to put a house. Look at the view from up here. Imagine no trees. Imagine it all just open up here at the top. And that way's looking back towards Skyline Drive and all that. So here's the very tippy top, and I mean, it's that whole area over there is pretty open with grass. Here's this big pile of rocks, and it's a lot of them. There's a major chunk there, and there's another major chunk over there. So I'll look around a little bit more. I think maybe this would have been a better spot really to put a house. Maybe when the Park Service tore the house down, and the foundation, they took the rocks and just piled them up here. Don't know if this is going to show up on the video, but that's pretty cool. Sitting on top of this rock pile, here's part of a plow. See that? There's the point. There's the point right there. And there's the curved part that connects it to the, whatever, the arm. I'm not a farmer, so I don't know the tech term for all this stuff, but that's definitely part of a plow. I just want to do one more 360 from this spot up here on top of this hill. This is a gorgeous area up here. Look at, I mean, the view of the mountains would have been, with all these trees down, it would have been just spectacular. I walked over there a little ways, and here's the big rock pile. I walked down that way a little ways. There's a lot of grassy open areas down there. More mountains that way. So I'm going to move my my coordinates I got off a 1939 map, but I'm going to move them to right here where this big rock pile is. This huge pile of rocks didn't put itself together, so somebody did that. That's the way I got ahead, looking back towards the west. Guess I better get started, because this is a nasty hike getting out here. Yeah, I think that was a driveway coming up. You see how far I can see down through there with no big trees? I compare that with like looking in any other direction. There's trees everywhere. So I think that's the driveway that came up here. And if you look up that way at the top part, you can see it's dished out a little bit up there too. So, and then there's the big rock pile. 1.9 miles into my hike. The elevation is 1680. This is a pretty flat hike. And I just now hacked my way out of the wilderness back there. From here back to where the top of the hill there, where I think the house actually was, is about a quarter of a mile. So anyway, I'm going to complete the loop by heading down this way. This will take us past some old rock walls and rock piles and the old family cemetery. So before I take off, I happen to notice these little protected circle things where the Park Service plants things where they want stuff to grow. Now, why would they want stuff to grow here? Well, that's where I came from. Back there where the old homestead was. Now up that way is the main road, the road I came down on. But now that I'm looking back this way, I can see that the road actually branched off and came down this way and heads on up the hollow in that direction. Well, that's the direction we're headed, which would take you to the family cemetery. So my theory is whenever, and usually my experience and theory, when you see these metal posts in the ground, they've planted some trees there or something, and they're trying to even further obscure the fact that this used to be a road. So, and actually if you look at this one, you'll see it's got a tag on it. 5205 is what it says. So, but anyway, yeah, there used to be if you were coming this way from the house, it would be a little right-hand turn would take you down this little side road, and then straight through there. It's blocked with trees and stuff now, and then on up the side of the mountain, you'll see me hike that up to the cemetery. Okay, so here's part of the rock wall that's, I guess it was lining the side of the road here. And down that way is that spot I showed you where they planted some trees. And we're going to head on up this way. Okay, there's an old millstone that somebody left behind, laying off to the side. Here's the trail. Here's where I came from. And I'm going to continue on up the side of the mountain. Well, there's a spring box. That looks a little more modern. Made out of concrete. Still got water in it. And then the overflow drains down into that little creek. .1 miles into my hike, I'm up to 1,750 feet. And here's the Fox family cemetery. I'll go in and take a few still pics. That thing's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 bullet holes in it. That's pretty cool. Right here next to the trail, that is a giant economy-sized pile of rocks right there. Wow. That is a big pile. And right here is another pretty good sized pile. And up there is an even bigger sized pile. And just looking at the terrain, that's pretty hilly back there, but over here it's a lot flatter, so I'm guessing they probably had this cleared out and they had to do something with the rocks, so they piled them up into big piles. And down that way is the family cemetery, just a couple of 100 yards. This is a map of today's hike. It's 2 quadrangle maps taped together. The top part here is Front Royal, 1994. And then the bottom part is Chester Gap, 1994. This red line here is Skyline Drive coming up the mountain from Front Royal. Front Royal's down here, and here's Skyline Drive climbing up the mountain until you get up to right here. This is about mile marker number 5. This is the Dickey Ridge Visitor Center. So you park in here. There's plenty of parking here, and there's also restrooms. And then you cross over Skyline Drive, and the Fox Hollow trailhead is right here. Now, the part that's actually a trail, I'll just real quickly trace it out. This is a road that comes down, and then what they did was they blocked off the road right here, and then there's a trail that loops back like this. Like so. So that's your Fox Hollow loop. So what I did, starting at the trailhead, is I came down this road until I got to here. And then on the 1939 maps, it shows this road just keeps on going straight like this to here, and then it makes a turn and starts to follow the contour of the mountain like this to the north and going down the side of the mountain and down this way back to Front Royal. And the 1939 map showed an old homestead right about there. Now, when I got to here, I started bushwhacking and I was able to follow the road, although this is a pretty rough hike because there's a lot of prickly bushes and things with thorns. I followed this road down to here, and then I looked around in this area and I found some grassy areas, but then eventually I noticed this driveway going up here to the top of this hill. So I followed the driveway up to here, and up here is where I found the great big pile of rocks and that couple pieces from an old plow. And then this area back here is kind of open grassy areas also. So then I just bushwhacked my way back. So from here to here is a bushwhack. It's about 1/4 mile each way. Oh, excuse me, no, from here down to here. That's a bushwhack. And then you'll come out on the road here, and then you just make a real sharp U-turn like this, and you start following this trail up the side of the mountain. And when you get to here, this is the Fox family cemetery. And then you just continue on up the trail to climb the mountain and back up to Dickey Ridge. So it's kind of interesting. I was kind of hoping to find more than what I did, but the Park Service seems to want to go into all these old sites and just completely take them down to nothing, even tearing out the foundations. And in one of the books I have, I even read where on one of these sites like this, they even went in and not only took out the foundation, but they dug up the rose bushes and stuff, supposedly to return things to their natural state. But, you know, it'd be nice to have some historical artifacts to go explore. Anyway, it's a pretty short hike. 2.8 miles is fairly flat with a 452-foot ascent. And that was the hike for today.